Come along with me to Trona, California, located in the Mojave Desert. In this upcoming episode, we're going to explore its history and see what's out there today. Good morning. Today we're going to go out to an area known as Trona. It's in California, a little bit west of Death Valley. It's in an area known as Searles Lake. Borax was actually founded there in the 1860s. And it wasn't until 10 years later that they realized what the significance of borax is and the good uses that they did. So it became a big mine after that time in the 1870s. And it's still active today. There's a lot of activity going on. It's throughout the years has been in some boom times and bust times. And I found it so interesting that I wanted to go out there and do some exploration and see what the status of the town is. It seems to be slowly dying at this time, but we'll check it out and we'll go do some exploration. I got my normal drink for the road trip. So let's go out and make a video and come along with me and let's explore. I came into Searles Valley from the west, from Ridgecrest. I went through Salt Wells Canyon, which is commonly called Poison Canyon, because of the small stream at its west end contains naturally occurring arsenic. Another landmark within the canyon is known as Fish Head Rocks, some rocks that were painted that looked like fish heads. I read that it was somewhere around 1930s or 40s that these were painted on the rocks. The canyon was the route of the original 20 mule teams that hauled borax out of Searles Lake. Another really cool location to stop in on your way to Trona is a place called the Trona Pinnacles. The Trona Pinnacles represent one of the most unique geological landscapes in the California desert. The pinnacles were formed between 10,000 and 100,000 years ago when Searles Lake formed a link in a chain of interconnected lakes flowing from the Owens Valley to Death Valley. This is the view that you see when you first arrive in Searles Lake. Looking into Trona, it was a cloudy day. You can see the exhaust coming out of those stacks. I guess most of it would be steam. Searles Lake is a dry lake bed in the Searles Valley of the Mojave Desert, located in northwestern San Bernardino County. The lake was also known as Slate Range Lake and Borax Lake, and was named after John Searles, who discovered borax on the surface of the dry lake. No history is complete without the discussion of the early pioneers of the area, that being John and Dennis Searles, both of them being originally from New York State. They sold their family farming interests and moved to California in search of gold. They had missed the original 1849ers rush of gold. Dennis decided that the Trinity River area of Trinity County would be a good place to go. The first records show that John purchased 160 acres in 1853. He did not own the mineral rights, but was using it for the purpose of cultivating or grazing. John and Dennis did very well for themselves while they were ranching and farming in Trinity County until the economic panic of 1857. That was making credit tight and drastically reducing the prices farmers were able to get for their crops. Records show that they sold their properties in Trinity County in 1858 and moved back down to San Francisco. While in San Francisco, Dennis had written a letter to his youngest sister, Carrie. It was dated in August of 1863, where he explains that he's going to start some new unexplored territory of the country and start the foundation for a new fortune. This new start in some unexplored part of the country turned out to be gold and silver mining in the Slate Range of San Bernardino County. In November of 1862, John and Dennis Searles and their partners incorporated 6 gold and silver mining companies in the Slate Range district. At some point, this gold company had some financial hardships and they were forced to sell their assets. The new owner continued to operate the mining company, with John and Dennis Searles as employees. So despite all their hard work and determination, the Searles brothers' second business venture ended the same way as their first, with a public sale of their assets. The mill that was operating in the Slate Range mining district would require both carbonate of soda and borax as fluxes to smelt their gold and silver ore. It was known that borax existed in the dry lake between the Slate and Argus ranges, probably as early as 1866. The availability of borax so close to the mill would have certainly been an advantage to the milling process. On February 14, 1873, 4 160-acre borax claims were registered in San Bernardino County by John and Dennis Searles. By the end of 1873, their first year in operation, the Searles brothers had not only constructed their borax works, but had produced and shipped 375 tons of borax. That was 38% of all the borax produced in the United States at that time. The Searles brothers' business peaked in 1876 when they produced 1,376 tons of borax. This represented 53% of the borax produced in the United States. Their gross revenue was $275,000, which is equivalent to about $6.5 million today. In the summer of 1876, the Searles brothers and their partners purchased most of the surrounding claims. In 1877, the Searles brothers' borax business declined by 28%, while revenue fell by 35% due to the overproduction by them and their Nevada competitors. The Searles brothers still accounted for 42% of the U.S. borax production. On June 1 of 1878, the San Bernardino Borax Mining Company was incorporated with a capitalization of $1 million. John Searles was the president of the firm. In just 5 years, John and his competitors, including Borax Smith of Death Valley and those in Nevada, had managed to saturate the U.S. market for refined borax. At this point, both companies agreed to stop production entirely until the market rebounded. With its health failing and with little hope of a borax price recovery, in January 1897, John Searles sold 70% of the stock of the dormant San Bernardino Borax Mining Company to the Pacific Coast Borax Company, run by his longtime rival, Francis Borax Smith. This purchase furthered Smith's plan to monopolize borax production in the United States and once again control the prices. John gave the remaining 30% of his stock to his son Dennis, retaining a single share for himself. The San Bernardino Borax Mining Company was founded in 1873 and it operated until 1897. This was the same year of John Searles' death. In 1898, Francis Borax Smith bought the 100-ton-a-month plant and closed it. The equipment was moved to use at Smith's Richard Daggett and Borat deposits. The mineral, Trona, was discovered in Searles Lake in 1905. In that year, the California Trona Company, with a $50,000 loan from Goldfields American Development, began buying up claims in Searles Lake. In 1913, the California Trona Company became the American Trona Corporation. Raymond Ashton began building a railroad from Searles Station to the lake. The line, known as the Trona Railroad, being completed in March of 1914. A huge, heavily financed refinery was completed in October of 1916. The community of Trona was officially established in 1913 as a self-contained company town, wholly operated by its resident mining company to house employees. Employees were paid in company scrip instead of cash. Economic booms and busts followed. Its most notable boom occurred during World War I when Trona was the only reliable American source of potash, an important element used in the production of gunpowder. In 1974, American Potash and Chemical was acquired by Kerr-McGee, However, they did not want to own the company town and they sold it. They cut production in half in 1982 and instituted massive layoffs. Kerr McGee sold the Searles Valley production facilities in 1990 to a capital investment, D. George Harrison Associates, which formed the North American Chemical Company. Ownership changed again in 1998 when IMC Global Corporation acquired North American Chemical Company. In 2004, when Sun Capital LLC purchased IMC Global Corporation, the North American Chemical Company facilities at Trona and West End were renamed Searles Valley Minerals Company. The Searles Valley Minerals Incorporated soda ash processing plant remains the largest employer in town. Many employees live in nearby Ridgecrest and they commute to Trona daily. I'm not sure anybody knows what the future holds for the town of Trona. Probably depends on the continued mining of the soda ash in Searles Lake. But one of the biggest limiting factors will be the availability of water. The town, which lacks its own clean source of water, has been getting its water from wells located about 30 miles to the west in the Indian Wells Valley for decades. The water is delivered through pipelines owned by the Searles Valley Minerals. It goes through Poison Canyon and is used water to produce soda ash, boron, and salt. The remainder of the water is then treated and pumped to the residences within Trona. This concludes my history portion of this presentation. Let's go drive around the town of Trona, see what we can find. Some people think Trona is a ghost town. That's not true. Some people think it's an abandoned town. That's not true either. Although the few people that live here really love the town. Being a mining town, it certainly has had its struggles over the years. Not sure what the future holds, but is certainly dependent upon the Searles Valley mineral plant. The wooden structured building on the left may have been the Trona train station. The photo on the inset shows the train depot in 1915. This building up here on the left is the old guest house museum. It's closed most of the time. I understand you can make arrangements to take a tour. This is a photo of that same building from 1916. Now we're going to travel through the residential neighborhoods. You can see a lot of these buildings are kind of run down. Not sure if people live in here full time. Some of them are abandoned. Some of them are in great shape and really kept well. This building was the Trona Rec Hall. This photo right here is what the rec hall looked like in the 1930s. This restaurant right here was called Esparza. The first time I drove by it, I don't believe it was open. I drove by the next day about mid-afternoon and the parking lot was completely full. So it must be a very popular place with the locals. This right here is what they refer to as a train balloon. Supposedly, although it takes up an enormous amount of area, it's supposed to be very efficient in loading and unloading cars. They don't have to do a bunch of switching and locomotive changes and that kind of stuff. This is another view of the Searles Valley mineral plant's main location in Trona. Never actually have been out here before, but my father, as I had said before, was a structural steel iron worker. He spent a lot of time out here at this Trona site, doing a lot of this expansion and additions and things like that to both of these plants at the west end and the main plant. What you see here before you is referred to as the West End plant. The insert photo is an old photo from 1925 of what this used to look like. Well, I'm glad you all came along with me to enjoy the area of Trona, California. It's a little different than most of my videos that I do, mainly because it's an active town with quite a few people in it, but I was so compelled to do a video on this due to its long history beginning in the 1860s. And I thoroughly enjoyed wandering through the neighborhoods, checking out the buildings and the factories. As I had mentioned, I had never actually been to Trona, but I was very aware of it. My dad was a structural steel iron worker. When we were kids growing up, he was always out there working in Trona. And when you see all the industrial base out there, you can understand there would be a big need for structural steel iron workers. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.